Hey everyone, welcome to another video of DC NBA Junkie, where I'll be discussing NBA related content every single day. I'm continuing a series called NBA Team Futures, where each day I'll be deep diving into a different NBA team and talking about my stance on each team moving forward from the NBA hiatus. If that sounds interesting, then feel free to tune in on some fresh NBA content. For today's episode, I'll be taking a closer look with the Memphis Grizzlies. After sending out Conley for the arrival of NBA sensation rookie Ja Morant, the Grizzlies seem to be on the right path for future success. Although they have many steps to take, Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and the rest of the relatively young core are showing early strides of being a bright team already. Let's get to it. But before I begin, make sure to leave a like on the video and drop down in the comments section any suggestions for future video ideas or even ideas for future series, because any suggestions from you guys are highly advised and recommended. And lastly, make sure to subscribe. I mean, we're all here for some fresh and nice NBA content. Now, without further ado, let's take a look into the future of the Memphis Grizzlies. Alright, beginning with this Memphis Grizzlies team, I want to talk about the team overview for them. They were 32-33 in the 65 games that they played this season. They were 8 games away from the 7th seed, so they were most likely not going to get that anyways from the Mavericks or move up. And as well, they were also in a 4-team race. 5 you could even debate, but really a 4-team race for the 8th seed. However, they did have a pretty good cushion going into the hiatus with like a 2 to 3 games ahead of the rest of the teams. And when I see this team, they're a really solid team. I was actually really surprised to see that, because considering that they are a relatively young team, I was like, well, they're not necessarily amazing because they're a 500 team. They're not the best team. They're young, and I was just assuming young teams usually have areas in their game where they're not the best. And this team, surprisingly pretty well for what they do. They're pretty at the bottom of the league in turnovers, so that's pretty good. They also are second in assists, so very unselfish team. They're top 10 in rebounds, so they definitely can play down there near the block and get offensive and defensive rebounds. And they're also top 10 in blocks, which I thought was really interesting. They also play fast, and they have a really solid defense and guys who can really hold it down there with like Valanciunas, Gorgie Jang, I guess, but mainly Jaren Jackson and Jonas Valanciunas. And so moving forward, I feel like it's best for them to sign free agents, and because they're already set themselves up where I feel like they'll be in the playoffs for the remainder, for a good number of time, to just pick guys in the draft from wherever they select from that will help them contribute to success. All right, next I'm going to go right into development. For this team, I see that the assets of Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and even what's his name, Jaren Jackson Jr., then you have Brandon Clark, and even Jonas Valanciunas. 4 really solid players for this team, solid group of guys. But unfortunately, after that, I don't feel like they have enough, a lot of players who have shown themselves to be solid enough to perform and give the Grizzlies what they need every night. Justice Winslow is debatably that, but he's been injured for so much time. I don't even know if he's as good as he used to be, or what he was projected to be. So, but I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt for the rest of these guys, like Grayson Allen, Dillon Brooks, and DeAnthony Melton. They're all pretty relatively young, so I think that's a great thing for them. And just at the end of the day, this team needs to just keep developing their players, even Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson. Just make sure that they continue this development, because I think they're on a really good path right now to really be a top team in the Western Conference. All right, now I'm going to go right into the third option. This is kind of coming off the development. This isn't going to take me too long. It's just a third option for this team. They have a Jaren Jackson, they have Ja Morant. That's established. However, they kind of need that like third really solid production figure, and I hope Brandon Clark can become that. I know that I know what Jonas Valanciunas is capable of. It's really not capable of producing as a third option for this team. He's, good at getting points down there if they need it. A good pick and roll, a center, can get some rebounds, can play a solid defense. But this team has some potential guys who could be that. Like I've already said, Brandon Clark. They even have Grayson Allen, who, if he can develop, can be a really solid guy. I mean, he's only a second-year player. And you got like Tyus Jones, who could, become a good backup point guard. They have a lot of good potential options. So, hopefully they can find another scorer who can help assist this team, because that's going to be really beneficial for them moving forward. All right, next I'm going to go into the free agency view section. This is what I do for every single team. It's just looking at the free agency aspect of this team and seeing what options and possibilities they have. And for this team, they have the free agents of Josh Jackson, notably Josh Jackson and D'Anthony Melton. Just two players that aren't necessarily anything special for them, especially since Josh Jackson specifically he's been really declining in terms of what he's been able to do as a basketball player. He's been really inconsistent, and he's actually been going down to the G League at some points. So, that's been a thing that they needed to really think about. And so, that's a big thing they have to think about moving forward, is if they're going to pay him next year. But I don't think they should. I don't think he was really beneficial for them, but I think he could become a good productive player in the future, because he's only 23, so he definitely has, the time if they give it to him. And they also have 3 tough contracts in free agency. I mean, on their team right now, with Gorgie Jang making $16 million, nowhere near what he deserves. Jonas Valanciunas, I guess you could argue, but not necessarily. I was looking more Justice Winslow making $13 million. We haven't seen what he's been able to do in a long time, so that's concerning. And Kyle Anderson making $10 million. Not the most concerning contract, but it certainly is a contract that needs to be talked about, because it's still a lot for what he doesn't really do too much anyways off the bench. So in terms of players I think could help this team, they have a lot of flexibility, because right now they're really stuck with not many options in free agency, but they have flexibility that if they can get some of these top contracts that I've already talked about with Gorgie Jang and Justice, maybe not Justice Winslow, but Kyle Anderson, those tough large contracts. However, they would have to give up probably some young asset, which I don't think they're looking to do right now. So they have that flexibility, but options I think that are really viable and make sense at considering their situation are Jay Crowder, bringing him back after just shipping him out. He was a very good serviceable player for their team, could shoot the ball, really good 3-and-D player. And I think 2 other 3-and-D kind of players or scorers I could see is Glenn Robinson. He's pretty good 3-and-D who could help this team, and Alec Burks. And even 2 center big man options, because I see Jonas Valanciunas, and they don't really have another center that I think is a consistently good player. I think the Timberwolves gave Gorgie Jang a ton of money, and he's not really a really good center. He's just an all-right backup guy who can just provide minutes. But I think Alex Len and even Myers Leonard, for some small budget contracts, could really help this team. And lastly, I'm going to go right into if the season continues. This is the hypothetical segment I do for every team, and it's to just talk about where I feel like this team stands, and if they decide to continue the season. And for this team, this isn't really much to talk about. They will get eliminated in the first round if the season continues against the Lakers. They're the 8th seed right now, so that's who they would play. And I think the only reason I'm saying this is because they're just young, okay? They don't really have anyone who could stop LeBron, Anthony Davis, aside from a lot of their solid role players on that team. John Morant they did have a game this season, in I think February or January, where they had a really good game and they beat the Lakers by 15 points. And they were beating them the whole game, so it's clear that they could probably take a game on them, but they're really not going to provide any competition against the Lakers. And 2 ideas that I kind of want to leave off on with this Grizzlies team is, can they build correctly around their young core? Because they have the young core and they need to develop them, and I think they can do it. I mean, it's been a little concerning of how they can because they haven't had a good track record of developing players out, and they just got John Morant and Jaren Jackson, and they made 2 good hits in the 2 previous first round and 2 previous drafts. So moving forward, can they build correctly around this young core is going to be really important for them moving forward. And secondly, can John Morant, yes, I'm saying this, John Morant be what Memphis needs out of him? because he's already shown that he's been a really talented rookie, but it's clear to them that he's going to be the leader for this team. So can he take those further steps, in the following seasons as a leader and as a player that can help contribute to this team's success? Because Memphis really needs that in order for them to go anywhere. They need Morant to be their anchor. They need him to be the guy for them. And yeah, with that being said, that will be the end of today's video of the team features for the Memphis Grizzlies. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and leave a like on the video, and drop a comment below about any suggestions for future video ideas or any things to add on to this series. Any of your guys' suggestions are highly advised. And yeah, with that being said, thank you and have a great day.